This is the GreatStockPicks.com September 27th, Monday highlight from today's live trading chat session. All right, SGEN, Seattle Genetics. We noticed a big gap up in the pre-market, big volume in the pre-market, and if you scroll to the left here on the daily chart, gapping above a lot of stuff here. So this had my attention early. Switching to fives, it stayed in its 5-minute range for a long time. I mean, I think over an hour, which is unusual. Early high was 1423, the early low 1366. I called this, let me get my bearings here. Okay, I actually called this a couple different ways. I called this about 15 minutes in. I guess I can zoom in and show you what I was looking at. Okay, there's the big gap up, 5-minute candles. Had a couple equal highs here at 1406. Okay, and again, the early high was 1423. The first call I made on it was 1410, a little bit arbitrary, and I don't usually do that. I base almost everything I do off of candles, but this one I said if it gets to 1410, it's got a real good chance of getting through the high of the day, 1424, which means we've got a real good chance of moving higher. Okay, so that was the first call, 1410, with a worst case stop 26 cents below. I think I picked. Let me pause again. Okay, 1384 was the worst case stop, and let me scroll to the right there. That's not going to work. Let me scroll to the right. Okay, there you can see we hit 1410. Now my stop's at 1384, and it just starts to go sideways for a while, which actually formed a great setup. I held the 1410 entry, and it never did hit the lows of these candles, 1390. So it never did hit the 1384 stop. So I believe that was a 26-cent risk that never got hit. But after it started going sideways, I called it again. I told everybody I love it over this base here. And I actually added as it broke this base. I had my 1410 that held for like almost an hour. And then I added at the 1416 break. I actually got filled at 1420, which gave me a 1415 average. And you'll see the break. There's the breakout. And that got us through the high of the day. A little bit of pause, and then it was, I'll zoom out, it was off to the races. Okay, zooming out here now, you can see the 1417 was our secondary call after the 1410 earlier call. And for those that didn't take it from 1410, the 1417, I said stop it at 1398. So you're looking at less than 20 cents there, 1417, all the way to 1508. From my 1410 entry earlier in the day, it moved almost $1 in my favor. And again, I got a free ad here because this ad was above my average, which meant my new average was still below my ad. I call that a free ad. I love those. And then it got a nice strong move upwards, and that's when we start paying ourselves. So very nice there. MHS. These are 5-minute candles from today. I'm pretty proud of this call. Called this right there on that green candle. Worst case stop right here. So within 5 minutes of the low of the day. The call on MHS, let me bring up my chart here. 50.54 was the entry. Worst case stop, 7 cents below that never got hit. And from 50.54 moved all the way up to 51.27. That's a 73-cent move on 7 cents risk. That never got hit, so that was a nice one. What else do we have? I only had a couple calls today. I did have a late day short in Juniper. Juniper was just crazy. If you saw the market today, Juniper was breaking out, and you know, if I zoomed out, you can see it did have some consolidation back here from April, so it did have some supply in theory, and so I was looking for a place to short this. Very tough. I'm not a big fan of shorting something that's this strong, but it didn't give any kind of clean capitulation. It was just a slow grind higher. So finally I let it show a little bit of weakness. I'll zoom in here and show you what I'm looking at. Well, I'll just leave it there. I called a short, excuse me, in Juniper, finally, right here, with a worst case stop right here. The short idea, get those lines out of your way, was 31.33 with a 31.41 stop. Okay, so only 8 cents risk, and it did fall all the way down to 30.98. So, you know, a little more than a 30-cent move. on an 8-cent risk, and it just became where as the market sold off, Juniper sold off, and I just scaled out on the way out. It was a nice way to end my day. I already had a big trade in SGen. I also had a nice trade in what was it, ATPG. I can't call this one an official call though, because I was mentioning it over the mic and didn't have time to type out the trigger and stop. ATPG had nice early trade. We had added this in the pre-market because it was strong, and I think my entry was somewhere around here, like 1308 or something like that. Worst case stop, I don't know, like a dime below. And from 1308, this did move all the way to almost 1370. And I know some members joined me in it, but again, I can't call it an official call because I didn't have time to type it out and send out a pop-up alert. It was more over the microphone. But for those that are nimble and had their speakers on, they could have joined me in that one as well. So I'm going to quit babbling, wrap this up, and we'll talk to you again with a highlight video from tomorrow's trading on tomorrow night. Have a great night.